Hey YouTube, it's Dr. Wendy Walsh. You are in the studio of KFI AM 640 Los Angeles. We're an iHeart radio station. I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh. See, my mic says Wendy. And I'm a psychology professor. I do a radio show all about the science of love. And in this segment, we're going to be talking about 4 ways that technology can hurt your relationship and what the solutions are to keep it from happening. Keep it better, right? So, I think they're coming back to me. Hang on. 30 seconds. And there's producer Kayla. You want to come say hi to YouTube? Here comes my favorite producer in the whole world. What if other producers hear me say that? Their feelings will be hurt. There's producer Kayla.
Hello, YouTube.
Tell them about your podcast.
Oh, Pettyish is coming back actually this week, February 1st. Available everywhere you get podcasts. Pettyish. Pettyish.
Pettyish. Oh, here
Great
we go.
stuff.
We're going live. KFI AM 640, you have Dr. Wendy Walsh with you. This is the Dr. Wendy Walsh Show. I would like to welcome my YouTube audience. We're live on YouTube for this segment. If you'd like to see us in the studio, you're welcome to come on over. My YouTube channel is at Dr. Wendy Walsh. That's at Dr. Wendy Walsh. I have been obsessed with the science of love for many, many decades. I've written 3 books on relationships. I read studies every single day. And I don't think I've seen more change in our relationship life than the last 10 years. And what was the big thing that caused the change? Technology, our iPhones, the computers. Now you might think, but didn't good things happen? We got great dating apps. It's a wonderful way to be able to just text and talk to people so easily. And there's all that pornography out there. That's fun too. Yes and no, right? Nothing is free in life. Nothing has no strings attached. So let's talk about what I think are the 4 things in technology that hurt our relationships the most and what we can do about it. The first one I talk about all the time, and it is something called a paradox of choice. Now, I want you to understand, here's how the human brain works. The more choice you have, the less likely you are to make a choice. And when you do make a choice, when there's lots of selection, you actually value that choice less because your brain is busy thinking about a bigger, better deal or the one that got away. So now think about dating apps. Recently, I've had a number of women in my Patreon Zoom room saying, oh, Dr. Wendy, I got on the dating apps now, and it's like raining men all of a sudden. And I always remind women that men and women use dating apps very differently. What women do is we study a profile very intently. We look deep into the pictures. We try to determine if that lamp behind your head, dude, is from IKEA or Restoration Hardware, all right? We look at every word you say and wonder the meaning of that word. And then if we like all that, we hit match or like, or we swipe right. You know what guys do? They swipe on every single woman and wait to see which one is interested in them. I'm sorry, ladies. Don't be so picky. I mean, men are not picky is what I'm trying to say. So what happens when women get on a dating app is they're like, oh my God, every guy I pick, I match with. I'm just on fire here. No, that's the paradox of choice that's going to happen. So what's the solution? I mean, dating apps are designed to keep you addicted to the app. They're not designed to get you off the app and go and find somebody. So what do? What's the solution? The solution, in my opinion, is to match with only 2 people at once, vet them, eliminate one. Eliminate one if their response rate is slow, if they don't say things you like in those texts, if they won't get on the phone, if they got on the phone but didn't give good phone, if you met them for coffee and went, they were great on the phone, but in person, not so interested, right? Vet them, evaluate them. My favorite saying is, I don't date, I evaluate. Evaluate them. And then, once you have only one in your box, evaluate them, maybe add another, compare it to one other. Remember, the whole goal is to get down to 1. You're not wanting to appeal to 1 million people. You want to appeal to one who has huge passion for you. Okay, that's the first way that tech hurts our relationship. Paradox of choice. The second is ghosting. Oh my goodness. Ghosting evolved because a text relationship has such a low investment, right? You just send a few little texts. Maybe even you've had a phone conversation with somebody. Hopefully you haven't met in the real world and they ghosted you. I'm praying you didn't have sex with them and they ghosted you. I mean, that's terrible because what it gives is this lack of closure. And it leaves the person who's been ghosted scrambling for answers. In other words, they have anxiety for way longer than they need to. They're wondering what happened, what they did wrong, etc. They have this confusion about responsibility, and they also, we often fall in love with hope. We don't fall in love with the person. We fantasize about the future and fall in love with that. So there's also this loss of this future. And then, this is how it hurts our relationship. We avoid future vulnerability because we're afraid. I'm not joking. I have such high self-esteem that the only time I was ever ghosted, there was only one answer for why I was ghosted, right? Kayla, do you know why?
Why?
Because in my mind, he was dead. There would be no other excuse to ghost me, to say he had to be dead, right? And so my daughter's friend, Crank, called him the next day. I didn't give her permission to do that. She grabbed my phone and he answered. And I was so mad. It was better in my mind that he was dead
Dr.
than
Wendy.
knowing he was still breathing.
You couldn't have been ghosted, obviously.
Not possible, right? Do not hurt my self-esteem. Not possible. Well, if you're listening, I want you to know that every human on the planet nowadays, if they're in dating age, well, dating age is the whole lifespan now, has been ghosted at some point, and we need to stop it. What is the solution? The solution is have a canned, polite text that literally says, hey, it was great chatting, or nice to meet you. I don't think romance is in the cards for us, but in the future, I'll keep you in mind for a friend. And you just cut and paste that so they know where they stand. So there's closure. I sent that to probably 20 men, and not one wrote me back, rude. Sometimes they'd write me back and say, oh, thank you, nice to meet you too. And that was it. Thanks for being so honest. They like that.
There you go. Type it up. CC everybody on there that needs to go to. Good to go. I like it.
All right, 2 more things how tech is hurting our relationships. One is phubbing. You know what phubbing? It is phone snubbing, where you're on your phone instead of focusing on your partner. Look, I teach psychology of health counseling, and one of the things we teach is digital hygiene. We all need to have digital hygiene. Did you know when cigarettes were invented, doctors told people they were healthy for them? Okay, so the tech industry is trying to tell us that looking at our iPhone all day is healthy for it's not, okay? So you've got to practice good digital hygiene, just like people learn to quit smoking and vaping, which means you're going to put hours on when you use it. You're going to put controls on which apps are available at which hours. You shouldn't have any technology in the bedroom at night, for sure, for sure. Okay, last and final, 4th thing that technology has done to hurt our relationship. For some people, it has created a pornography compulsion. Now, do you notice I didn't say the word addiction? Actually, porn addiction is not a diagnosis. However, and we also know that occasionally viewing pornography as a monogamous couple can add a little spice and novelty and can not be bad. However, if you are alone and using it so regularly as a stress reducer, if it is coupled with feelings of shame or guilt afterwards that makes you actually want to use more to relieve those feelings, then that's the vicious cycle of a compulsion. So what can you do? Well, I encourage you to reach out to a licensed therapist for sure. Also, start, if you're doing some self-help monitoring before you go to therapy, keep a journal. Write down your triggers. Just like any other thing we crave, ask yourself what happened just before that? What was the cue to action, if you will? Use technology. Put blockers on your electronic devices. And also find alternative activities. If you're using it for stress reduction, then how about exercise? How about mindful meditation? How about, calling a friend? Do something that's good for you during that time, okay? But if this is something that's causing dysfunction in your life, if it's affecting your mental health, you really should reach out to a licensed therapist so that you can, have healthy relationships with humans as well as with your technology, tech, and our relationships. Hey, when we come back, when my kids were born, I did not find out the sex of the babies before they were born, and so I gave them gender-neutral names, figuring it could go on a boy or it could go on a girl. Well, when we come back, I've got an expert who's going to talk about how not just naming your babies, but also gender-neutral parenting, how it can be good for kids. You're listening to the Dr. Wendy Walsh Show on KFI, AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Right now, let's go to the 24-hour KFI newsroom and our very own Andrew Caravella. Okay, YouTube, I'm going to my guest. Nice to see you. Bye.